Good evening, everybody. Sourav, it's a great pleasure for all of us here to have you with us. Sourav Chander, যিনি অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট করছিল আমাদের বাংলার গৌরবের সম্বন্ধে, তার ক্রিকেটিং ক্যারিয়ার সম্বন্ধে অনেক বড় বড় কথা বলল, যেটা ফ্যাক্ট। হি ইজ রিয়েলি গ্রেট। বাট আমি যেটা বলতে চাই, যেটা হয়তো অনেকে জানে না, যে সৌরভ ইজ আ গ্রেটার, মাচ গ্রেটার হিউম্যান বিং। Yes, he deserves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. একদম ডাউন টু আর্থ বলতে যা বোঝায়, মাটিতে পা দিয়ে চলে, খুব অ্যাপ্রোচেবল, এবং মাটির মানুষ বলতে যা বোঝায় সৌরভ গাঙ্গুলি তাই। সারা ভারতবর্ষের অন্যতম সেলিব্রিটি, পশ্চিমবঙ্গের 1 নম্বর সেলিব্রিটি, 15-16 বছর খেলা ছেড়ে দেওয়ার পরেও। এটা একটা বিরল ঘটনা, একদম এটা খুবই বিরল। এবং আমি যেটা প্রথম জানতে চাইব, যে সৌরভ আইপিএল, এন্ডোর্সমেন্টস, দাদাগিরি, এই শিডিউলটা মেনটেন করো কি করে?
থ্যাংক ইউ বাপিদা। প্রথমে তোমাকে অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ এত সুন্দর কথা বলার জন্য। বেঙ্গল বিজনেস কাউন্সিলকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ আমার তরফ থেকে আমাকে এখানে ইনভাইট করার জন্য। আজকের এই বিকেলে এখানে অনেক গুণী মানুষ আছেন, ভেরি সাকসেসফুল পিপল আর হিয়ার। আমার সামনে একজন আছেন চন্দ্রশেখর বাবু, ওনাকে যতবার আমি দেখি, আমার সাথে ওনার অ্যাসোসিয়েশন বহুদিন, কিন্তু যতবার ওনাকে আমি দেখি আই রিয়েলি ফিল হ্যাপি অ্যাবাউট ইট। আরও অনেকে আছেন এখানে, সবার নাম আমি নিতে পারলাম না, বাট I feel extremely honored to be here amongst all of you, among all the successful people of Bengal, because just like all of you, I am a very, very, very Bengali, মানে বাঙালি আমি। তো whenever I see, যখনই আমি দেখি বাংলার মানুষ, বাংলার গুণীজন, বাংলার সাকসেসফুল মানুষ, আমার সত্যিই খুব ভালো লাগে, বিকজ I feel I am a one part of it. তাই এখানে আসার জন্য আই এম রিয়েলি হ্যাপি। আমি এর আগে কোনো দিন এখানে আসিনি। বাপিদা, তুমি যখন আমাকে 3-4 মাস আগে বলেছিলে বিফোর আইপিএল, আই সেড আইল ডেফিনেটলি কাম, নট বিকজ আই নিউ হোয়াট বেঙ্গল বিজনেস কাউন্সিল ইজ, দ্য রিজন ইজ আই কান্ট টেল নো টু হিম। You know, he keeps asking me to come a few places every now and then, not very, very often, but every now and then, and I can't say no to him. So, as I said, thank you for inviting, and thank you for those kind words.
It's our pleasure. এখানে আমাদের বেঙ্গল বিজনেস কাউন্সিলের সদস্যরা আছে। তাদের মধ্যে বিশেষত্ব হচ্ছে আমরা সবাই বাঙালি, যেটা তুমি বললে, এবং আমরা সবাই ব্যবসায়ী, এবং 3 নম্বর হচ্ছে আমরা সবাই যে স্তরে আছি, ছোট ব্যবসায়ী হোক, মাঝারি বা বড়, আমরা সবাই চেষ্টা করছি সফল হওয়ার জন্য, আরও সফল হওয়ার জন্য। যদি সফলতার কথা বলতে হয়, তাহলে তুমি একটা এক্সাম্পল। আমরা আরও কি করে সফল হতে পারি, যদি আমাদের একটু বলো।
কঠিন প্রশ্ন এটা বাপিদা। তার আগে তোমার আগের প্রশ্নটার আমি উত্তর দিতে ভুলে গেছি। তুমি আমায় জিজ্ঞেস করলে যে এতগুলো জিনিস আমি কি করে ম্যানেজ করি। আমি অ্যাকচুয়ালি জানি না কি করে ম্যানেজ করি, বাট করি। আর এমন অনেক সময় গেছে, একটা মাস গেছে, আমি সকালে উঠেছি, কাজ করেছি, রাতে বাড়িতে গেছি, ঘুমিয়েছি, সকালে উঠে আবার বেরিয়ে পড়েছি কাজ করতে। তো এই করতে করতে কখন মাস কেটে যায়, সপ্তাহ কেটে যায়, আমি বুঝতে পারি না। বাট আমি একটা জিনিস মনে করি, দ্যাট having the ability to work and getting the opportunity to work is a blessing. সবাই এটা পায় না। তাই আমি সবাইকে এখানে বলবো, দ্যাট when people asks you to do something, do it. কারণ আমি মনে করি কোনো কাজ ছোট বা বড় নয়, সব কাজ সমান। যে যেরকম সুযোগ পাবে সেই হিসেবে তার কাজ করার দরকার। আর ছোট থেকেই মানুষ বড় হয়, একদিনে কোনো মানুষ বড় হয়নি। আমি চন্দ্রশেখর বাবুর কথা বলছিলাম, উনি 20-25 বছর আগে লোকের বাড়ি বাড়ি ঘুরে ফাইন্যান্সিং করতেন, সেখান থেকে হি ইজ ক্রিয়েটেড সাচ আ ওয়ান্ডারফুল
He is our pride.
ব্যাংক,
He is also a pride
ওয়ান্ডারফুল
of
সেট আপ
Bengal.
ফর হিমসেলফ। তো যে কোনো জিনিসই শুরু হয় ছোটোর থেকে, আর আমি এটা খুব মনে করি। আর আই থিঙ্ক ইটস বেটার টু লিভ ইন আ ওয়ার্ল্ড where you have work rather than no work. So I think it's a psychological thing, it's a mental thing, it's a stressless thing. You're stressed only when you don't have solution for work. You'll never be stressed when you work and you have a solution for it. So সেদিকে আর দ্বিতীয় সাফল্য, আমি জানি না is there any reason for it, এর কোনো চাবিকাঠি আছে বা এর কোনো রিজনিং আছে বা মন্ত্র আছে। For me it's about doing the best in whatever you get. Sometimes in life we look too far ahead. এবার এটা করবো, এটার পরে এটা করবো, এটার পরে এটা করবো। It doesn't work like that. I am a firm believer that what you do now, do it to the best of your ability, because it takes care about the future. It's very important in life to live in the present, not in the past, not in the future. If you go back to the past, it will pull you down. If you go too ahead in the future, too ahead of your time, it will put excessive pressure on you. So it's important to live in the future. And as I said, for me, the reason of success is two things. One is effort. If you don't put effort, you don't succeed. And secondly is belief, is your faith in yourself. And I think I have played the sport for a long period of time, from the age of 13, when my father first took me to the ground, until I finished when I was almost 40. Amidst all the name, fame, and whatever the game brings to you, the most important thing what this game gave me was belief. That if you put me under pressure, if you ask me to do something, I will do it. And a lot of people asked me that when you made a comeback, when you came back to Indian cricket in 2006 after being left out for 4-5 months, how did you manage to do well? I said for not even once did my mind tell me, for the time when I came back, for once I did not feel that I will not score runs. So along with the ability, along with the talent, and every individual has talent, every individual is born with a certain amount of ability. But what actually takes you forward, what actually makes you successful is effort, it's hard work, and the faith in yourself that I will turn things around. Now in this journey of being successful and in this journey of not being successful, you'll go through the entire circle, where you will have periods when you don't do well, where you have periods when you don't deliver. But you must remember that the next day is a new day. The next day is a new day to succeed, because that's what sport had taught me. Even if I got 100 in a test match or a one day, I knew I had to start from zero the next innings. I did not start from 100. And when I got a zero or didn't get runs, I knew I had to start from zero. So at every stage of my career, I had to wake up and start again. But I liked that challenge. The challenge, it actually kept you going. And I remember when I finished playing cricket, I was doing an interview with one of the leading newspapers in the country. So they asked me that you've stopped playing for the country. What is it that you miss most? Do you miss the dressing room? Do you miss the boys? I said, no, I miss the challenge of waking up every morning to succeed, because I knew that if I was a little behind in my game, the opposition bowling, and there were some greats in that generation, the opposition bowling will get me out. So I had to wake up every morning switched on, and by the time 4:30 came in the evening, either I was successful or I wasn't successful. So the results were quick. You didn't have to wait for 4 days for an exit poll. You got it in the same evening. You got it in the same evening. So that has taught me in life a lot of things. In normal life, it has taught me not to be afraid. It has taught me not to be disappointed. It has taught me not to be negative. And most importantly, it has taught me that You put me in a difficult situation, I'll find my way out of it with my effort.
So this is how you handled pressure of performance.
Yeah,
Right.
pressure of everything.
Right. So when you became the captain of the Indian team, you inculcated in them a winning spirit, a fearless approach. The team, they sent a message to the cricket world, "Hum kisi se kam nahi." How did you do that?
Yeah, because I was leading a country. I was just not leading myself where I had an opportunity to go and tell myself that, you did not do it for yourself. But here I'm leading a group of people and millions outside who are expecting you to win. So I could not let them down. And the competitiveness in myself actually got better with the expectation that, there cannot be more honor for anyone, and I say that whatever you do in life, than leading India. I don't know what is it in other sport, but in cricket, it's an unbelievable honor. And I was captain for about 6 years, seeing the adulations, not just in India, but outside the country as well. All around the world where India went, there were just fans and people following you. And you could not let them down. So that competitiveness and the attitude to win came from looking at those people that, they believe in you. They have appointed you as their leader to actually win, and you can't let them down. And I think that's one of the reasons I was very competitive. And sometimes when I sit back now and I think about my life, obviously I finished a lot of years after the game, I tell to myself that somehow you have to find a rule or a mindset to sometimes see things from the back, which I can't actually even now. When I got into cricket administration, I went to Eden Gardens for the first day and we were doing the World Cup. It was like as if I was playing the World Cup. So I'm that sort of a person, a very intense person. If you give me something to do, I will. Because the most important thing which comes into my mind is I can't let you down. I remember, and you've been an administrator yourself, when I first became president of CAB, India were playing Pakistan at Eden Gardens. And I have been a part of many India-Pakistan matches, obviously, as a player. Mr. Dalmia died, and then I was promoted to do the job. And as you know, in cricket, the most important thing is distribution of tickets. And I did not know where was where, which seats were where, which ticket I had to give to anyone. So one fine morning, I decided I'll go to Eden Gardens and go and count every seats. That where is what, and if somebody asks me that I need a ticket to go and sit there, I should be able to tell him that, that part of the ground holds that ticket. So I'm that sort of a person. When I first, I've done a television show for last 10 years now. I remember the first day when I went to the show, and it got curtailed because of failure of the system. I came and told my mother that it's only a matter of time. It'll be 2-3 days and they'll have a new host. Because I just finished playing and in my years there was a producer, there were participants, there were sponsors. The game had to move forward. They were asking me questions. I said, oh God, this is going to be a disaster. And I'm 100% sure that they will have somebody new. But I tried, I did, and then I managed to succeed. So this game for me has been a huge learning experience in life. And the most important thing what I've taken out of it is that you put me in a position of responsibility, I'll not let you down.
Great. And responsibility has never been your burden ever in your career. When you were the captain of your team, apart from that Greg Chappell incident, if I ignore that, India team was a very happy team. When you became the president of CAB also was a very happy family. There was no complaint about distribution of tickets. How could you manage that? Keep everybody happy.
I think I have that art of keeping everybody happy. I managed to do that. I don't know how I do it, but I somehow find my way to keep everybody happy. And the reason I think is it because I think I look at things in their eyes, not at my eyes. And I don't know whether it's right or whether it's wrong. The basic intention of me in life is, I hope you are happy. That
Where
is
you
important.
come first.
You come first. And I think that's a quality which I don't know how it happened. I think it's from my mother. I think you met my mother many a number of
many
times.
times.
And when people come home, I see her. I don't know, as if, what has happened? She'll make sure the food is proper, the tea is proper, the lights are proper, the sofa is in the right position. So I'm a bit like that. And when I first came in, my basic intention was to see that the members are happy, because I had nothing to gain out of it. I was asked to do a job, and I started doing it. I knew nothing, because I hadn't done that before, and I did what I knew, and with the basic intent and the mindset that I'll try and do the best. Whatever I can do, I will. Because I remember one thing, when I was captain of India, one of the greats of the game, he was a former captain, an Australian captain, and I met him in Pakistan one day, and we were touring Pakistan. I asked him, what is it that makes a good captain at international level? He said something which I remember even today in my life. He said, Saurav, when you put your head on that pillow in the night, you must be able to tell yourself that you've done what is the best for the team at that particular day. Because you're not captaining for the media, you're not captaining for the critics, you're not captaining for anybody else or what people think about it, because you can't control that. These are beyond you. What you need to control is what you do for your teammates and what you do with the best of your ability. And I think I remembered that word all my life, that whatever I do, a small thing or a big thing or an important thing or a non-important thing, is that I try and do it to the best I can. Because I can't be somebody else, I can only be myself. And I don't know what others did, because I've not seen it. So I know I do what I feel is right for that moment and what is good for the people who I'm working with.
Have you ever done justice to others by doing injustice to yourself?
Maybe at times unknowingly you do it. But I am that sort of a person who doesn't like harming people. I firmly believe that with leadership, and I've been in many leadership positions all my life. I began as captain of my state, then I became captain of my country, then I've captained the world teams for a few times, then I got into a leadership position at Bengal, then got a leadership position at the BCCI when I became president. So I have been in leadership positions at all my career, and I firmly believe that the good leaders or the most successful leaders are not vindictive. The most ones actually are the ones who mentally and emotionally are above the rest, because that's the only way you can be a leader. You cannot expect to be a leader and work with petty things around people, and I firmly believe that. And I believe that in life, in sport, in profession, the only solution is by trying to give a solution, and not by holding solutions.
Great.
And I firmly believe in that. The easiest thing is to let things happen, and probably the not so easy thing and a very common thing is to not let things happen. And I believed in the other thing, that the only way you will be remembered, the only way people will respect you, if you respect the other person and make things happen in life.
See, this is what Mr. Sourav Ganguly is. Coming back to pressure of performance, during this IPL, we saw that you stood much more than you sat in the dugout. Was mentorship more engaging than playing the game?
Of course it is. Mentorship, coaching, and I was involved with the Delhi team even last year as well. It is much more difficult than playing, because I said that to everyone, that when I played, my coach told me a few things, and then I went into the middle, I had the bat to go and hit a six. But as a mentor and a coach, you don't have it. Once the players get into the rope, it's them, and you have no control over what's happening in the game. So you're obviously pressure. You're obviously more nervous because you can't hit a four or can't hit a six, and that is the disadvantage of not being a player. And when you talk about pressure, pressure is something, and I want to talk about it because all of us in life have pressures. As a businessman, you have pressure because you have to look at the profits, the balance sheet, make your business successful. We've as a player had a lot of pressure of performance because only 11 out of the millions could play, and if you're behind in a couple of times, there's somebody else playing. So this is something which I've seen from the age of 14, 15, and even more as time went on. For me, pressure is something which an individual in professional life must need to handle and know how to handle. And for me, the most important way of handling pressure is accepting pressure. There are players who had seen when you pick them against a tough team, a tough bowling attack, they would say, why me? And there were players who would, when you pick against the toughest of oppositions, find out a way to get the best out of themselves. And I think for an individual, it is important to handle pressure. Because if you don't handle it, somebody else will handle it. And you will realize as you keep doing it over and over again, it becomes a part of your system. It becomes a part of your muscle memory. And the only way you can do it is by facing it. A lot of people believe that when they have been given a difficult job, a tough responsibility, why do you put me under pressure, and you find a way to go out of it? For me, every job you're given is an opportunity. There are two ways of looking at things. I remember when I batted at number 3 in my first test match in England, and it was seaming conditions in England, and I managed to get a test match 100. So when I came back, my father, my friends asked me, why at number 3? I said, I only could get a test match 100 because I was pushed in at number 3. And the difference between a normal individual and a successful one, the successful one is the one who takes pressure as an opportunity. I'll tell you a small story. When my comeback in 2006, I was dropped for about 4 months in Australia. And then I came back in South Africa, and there was a journalist, a young journalist. He was young then, and I think he's still around. His name was Shumon. He called me up. The team got selected, and he called me up, and he said, "Why South Africa? They are the best fast bowling attack in the world. They are tough pitches, green pitches, bouncy pitches. India were losing the one-day series. You have 3 test matches to play. Why do you have to go to South Africa?" Because West Indies was coming to India. After that, you would have batted on flat pitches, and you would have been in the side. I listened to him for a while because he was genuinely concerned about me, and he wanted me to play for India. So I told him, there are 2 ways of looking at it. I'm not a young player anymore. I have been around for a long period of time, and it's been almost 10 years. So I'm not somebody who's starting a career. I said, if I go to South Africa and succeed on those pitches, my captain, I was not captain by then, I had lost my captaincy. My captain, my coach, my selectors will always have it at the back of their mind that when it came to tough conditions, when it came to pace, when it came to the best fast bowlers in the world, this gentleman stood up and scored runs. So I will carry that tag for the rest of my career. And if I don't go to South Africa and play in the against the West Indies in India on flat pitches, and I'll get runs, I'll play well, but they will still have it at the back of your mind that he still needs to go outside. He still needs to go outside the subcontinent to succeed. So I always looked at, if you want to be successful and if you want to play for a long period of time, you have to do the hard things. You have to do the hard yards. It's not about the easy yards. The easy yards don't make you a successful individual for a long period of time. So it's never the easy route, and I'm sure in business you have your tough days. In sport there are tough days, But the best in the business will always say when you're put under pressure, this is my chance to make a name for myself.
I can't, stop myself asking you this question in 2001, that Australia match, India follow-on করছে হ্যাঁ তো কি করে সেই ফলো-অন করা ম্যাচটা ইন্ডিয়া জিতলো ইয়েস হরভজন হ্যাট্রিক করেছে লক্ষ্মণন অ্যান্ড দ্রাবিড় 283 করেছে I know, but what was the strategy?
There was no strategy. God was kind.
Okay.
That's the only way we won. I had no strategy because at the end of day 3, I was worried that I may not be captain of India after that series because we lost the first test. It was my first big series as captain. I was a young boy in 2001, 28 years old, and we lost the first test in Bombay, and we were down and out in the second test. Day 3 at Eden Gardens, I had no strategy because we were asked to follow on, and Australia were much, much ahead in the game. Though, and I'll tell you a funny story. The only person who knew I would win was my mother-in-law, and I don't know how. At the end of day 3, Donna and my mother-in-law came to the Taj with food. We were staying at the Taj Hotel, and she came with food, and we finished dinner. She saw me, I was very sad and very upset that we'll lose this test match. So before leaving, and she packed up everything and she left. Just about leaving and she was exiting from the door, she turned back to me and said, "Tumra ei test match ta jeetbe."
My goodness.
So they went. I could not call my wife because my mother-in-law was sitting in the car. So as she went home and she was on her own, I said, "Yeah, তোমার মা কি খেলাধুলো বোঝে না নাকি? What does she know? She knows nothing about cricket. We are struggling. We are followed on, and Australia is on the top. And she comes and tells me, we are going to win. I don't need sympathy. No, we will lose, and please don't bring her from next time because she has no idea about the game." So it finished. Day 5, we won the test, and had invited the team to my home for dinner. And my mother-in-law's house is next door, absolutely. So I did not know the bus came in, the police came in, one of the players were getting down of the bus. So I saw my mother-in-law standing on the balcony and shouting from there, "Ki bolechilam to jeetbe." And she's shouting from there. And all the players are asking me, "What happened? What is she saying?" I said, No. She was the only person on day 3 who said that I'll win the test match. And I called my wife and said that she's absolutely rubbish. She has no idea of what's going on. How can she say that we'll win the test match? And she was on the balcony jumping as if India only won the test match because of her predictions. So
She knew one thing, that Sourav is not just my son-in-law. Sourav is also God's own son.
I hope so, but
Yes.
before that I used to not take her very seriously. But after that I started taking her very seriously. But I think that was a fabulous test match. And I think it was destiny. There is no strategy. Sometimes you don't have strategy in life. Sometimes things happen. And I'm sure in business, you will have no explanation for good days and bad days. And I think sports is the same. But what it did was, it made us a tougher team. It made us a better team because we won from a situation where there was no chance for us to win. And what it did was, it gave us that enormous belief that from henceforth, we are never out of any cricket match till it is actually finished. And I think I'm a firm believer in life, and I don't want to sound like a visionary or advisor. I firmly believe in life that in everything, it's never over till it's actually over.
This your belief in life, let me ask you, you have got a personal life, a professional life, and a public life. How do you balance?
I just be myself. I don't try to do anything different. I'm the same everywhere. You've seen me, probably a bit better dressed when I'm outside and in my kurta and pajama at home. But I just lead a life. There's no change. Obviously home is a lot more relaxing and a lot more being on my own. But I don't find any change in my behavior. I deal with people the same way as I deal with people at home, and I just don't differentiate. I just walk in, walk out, mix with everyone. That's the way I am. I'm not a very aloof person. I like people. I like talking to people. I like conversations with people. and I tend to do that. I never think that I've played so much. The other day, as I was going through my Facebook, sometimes in the evening when you're on your own, you go through the Facebook, and I saw they put 5 names of all-time 5 run getters for India, and I saw my photo pop up suddenly in that top 5. So I never consider myself that. That was a part of my life, professional life. But I'm that sort of a person who like making friends, who'll go and talk to people, understand from people. And I think that's why I still get loved so much by everyone, because I'm just normal. I'm just one of them, one of the others, and that's the way I am.
There's a biopic. সৌরভ গাঙ্গুলির উপর একটা বায়োপিক হচ্ছে। একটা কোয়েশ্চেন করব অন এ লাইটার নোট। ডোনা গাঙ্গুলির ভূমিকায় যাকে নেওয়া হয়েছে সে ব্যাপারে তোমার কোনো সাজেশন ছিল?
এখনো actually they have not finalized the lady who would act opposite Ayushmann Khurrana. I don't think I can suggest anybody in the character of Donna.
No wonder.
So
I can understand the sacrifice.
My daughter keeps suggesting me, "Ki you have her, you have her, you have her." The other day she called me up and said, "How far is your biopic?" My daughter, she's in UK. I said, "Yeah, they finished the story, but they haven't spoken to me. How can they finish a biopic without speaking to me?" I said, "What do you know about me? When I played my sport and when I was growing up, you were this small. So what do you know about me?" He said, no, I'm an important part of you. I need to put my suggestions in the biopic. I said, okay, I'll do it. Then she asked me, who's doing my mother's role? I said, I don't know, they will decide. He said, please ask them, I'll suggest a few names. I said, who is your name to do your mother's role? He said, Tripti Dimri. I said, who? He said, no, that lady Tripti Dimri, the lady who did in the film Animal. Then I called up Donna and said, this lady has been suggested as your role in my biopic. So she went through the social media and said, oh, she's much better looking than I am. That was her answer. So they haven't decided on it, and whoever they decide, I'm sure they'll do a good job.
যেদিনকে তুমি রিটায়ার করলে একটা টি-শার্টের একটা জার্সির ওপরে সবাই সই করেছিল, সচিন কিছু লিখেছিল, সবাই জানুক কি লিখেছিল।
He writes in Bengali, so obviously in Bengali he wrote that we'll miss you. I still have the T-shirt in my room because the best memories of life are from the game. Whatever I do or whatever I've done after that, there cannot be anything better than playing cricket. So that will always remain. With Sachin, Rahul, Anil, we started playing together from the age of 13, 14. And Sachin was always the superstar, always the special player with the exceptional talent he had. But the rest of all also came up with him, working hard on our game and being successful, and played together for 15 years for India. So those memories are always special. We don't get to meet them that often anymore because we all live in different cities. But that care and affection is always there. And there were great moments. I still cherish every bit. These things will always remain with me forever.
You created a number of leaders when you were the leader of your own team, like Zahir Khan, Harbhajan, Yuvraj Singh. How did it happen?
I think one of the best qualities which I have and which I had also of a man manager, I somehow find, or I don't know what it is, somehow find a way to manage people well. And when you deal with a group of superstars, when you deal with a group of people who come from different parts of the country, with different habits, with different ideas, with different knowledge, at that level, man management is very important. And I think in business, in life, when you work with a group of people, managing them individually is very, very important. And what I believed as a captain or whenever I'm put in a leadership role is that my way is not the highway. Whatever I think cannot be the last word in that particular profession. I'm a very I'm a person who listens, and I'm a person who's ready to adapt to what you say, because I actually believe that, people who you work with sometimes can actually give you better ideas, better guidance than you think about yourself. I believe that, when you hire professionals, you tell them what to do, you don't tell them what to do, and I'm a firm believer on that. Good institutions, good organizations, good leaders don't hire professionals and tell them what to do. It's the other way around. And I realized very quickly that when I became captain, that if I have to succeed, these people have to succeed as well with me, because I'm in a team sport. I don't play tennis, I don't play table tennis where just my skills will win or lose matches. A Tendulkar has to perform.
360-degree communication.
Yeah, absolutely. A Tendulkar has to perform. A Dravid has to perform. A Harbhajan has to take wickets. So in my journey of leadership, I created leaders. I made them feel that I may have the word captain next to me, but their inputs, their commitment, their performance is as good or probably even better than me. And the first thing what I did was I got the captaincy from Sachin. He decided not to captain, and then I became captain of India.
What did he tell you then?
Yeah. Huh?
When Sachin, went up to you and said that from now on you take up.
You will be captain. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't show my happiness because I could see the sadness on his face. Okay. And he was a very dear friend. And it was at the Wankhede in the middle, and he came up to me and said, today is my last test as captain. I think the selectors will make you captain. I said, okay. I did not believe it till they actually made me captain. So I just listened, and then at the end of the day, in the evening, when they announced me, I was obviously very happy. So I was coming to the leadership point, and the first thing I went in when he gave up captaincy, I went up to him and said that, you are a leader in my group. You may not have the word captain, but this team will run on your ideas as well. It's not just my ideas as well, because I needed him to be with me. I needed Rahul to be with me. They needed to feel that this is my team. I need to get 100 for the team to win. I need to get a double 100 for the team to win.
Right.
And that's the way I operated. The number of times the players have got angry on me and shouted at me in dressing rooms, no captain would have tolerated. I tell Harbhajan.
In fact, they used to ask you why I'm not playing.
Yeah, I told Ashish Nehra one day, and he's a fantastic character. I'm surprised that he's been such a good coach. Every time I used to leave him out, I knew the doorbell after the game will ring. And he would come in his Delhi shorts with those chappals from Connaught Place and walk into my room with a coffee and say, why am I not playing? I've got wickets here, I've got wickets here, I've got wickets there. Why did you not pick me? Now, I had two ways of looking at it. One was getting angry. How come you challenged the captain?
Right.
But I looked at it the other way. I used to think for myself, here I have someone who wants to play. The tough conditions, the tough situation, he wants to turn up and play for India. So I rather have that sort of a person in my team rather than someone who you drop and just goes back to his room and sulks.
True.
So
even Harbhajan asked you the same once.
It's a trait of their characteristics. It's a trait which you always looked at, and I'm not surprised. I'll tell you, in the World Cup in 2003, Ashish Nehra had a very bad ankle, a swollen ankle. He fell the game before, and we were playing England the next game. I thought he wouldn't play. He had no chance of playing. The physio said that he had no chance of playing. So I went up to him 2 days before the game and said, Ashish, how is your injury? He said, oh, no, don't worry, I'll play. I said, how will you play? Will you be able to bowl? He says, yeah, you watch. You see the clock, I'll bowl at 150 kilometers an hour. So I went up to the physio and said, is he mad? He's saying that he's going to bowl at 150 kilometers an hour with such a big ankle. So I went and told the physio, I said, he's saying that, so let's back him. Let's see what he does. And he got 6 wickets in the game. So you need that sort of characters.
Outstanding.
Yeah, you need that sort of characters in your team if you want to succeed. And I'm a firm believer that a good team, a good unit is never made up of yes men. A good team is made up of people who will challenge you. A good team is made out of individuals who will challenge what you've said, what you've decided in a nice way. And I'm not saying in a rude way. And that sort of opinion and challenges are very important in development of anything. It's not just about yes sir and yes sir and yes sir. It doesn't take you anywhere.
It is all man management skill.
Yeah, absolutely. At any level, it was And I'll tell you another story. And I'm not taking names because there's media here and it'll be in the headlines tomorrow. I had a player in my team who was very disciplined. If you asked him before a test match that what would you do before a game, he said, I'm going to get up at 7 in the morning. I'll go to the breakfast table, I'll have an omelette, I'll have a fruit, I'll have a coffee, and by 7:45 I'm on the bus to the ground. And if you follow him in the morning of the game, it was exactly the same. And there was somebody else who, in the morning of a game, you would walk past your room and knock, saying that, are you awake? Are you awake? We have a test match to play. He used to be ready more number of times, scratching his way into the bus. The same person, when you walk into the dressing room, his corner will be all over. The bat all over, the shoes all over, the pads all over. And the other corner would be spick and span. The bats kept in proper place, everything neat. But when they both went to the ground, they performed exceptionally for India. Now, as a captain, you had two things. Either you told the other person to behave like him and be what he has done as something to look up to, or you let him be what he is. And I think when you manage individuals and when you know somebody has a way of performing, somebody has a way of delivering things, you allow him to do so. And with experience, with over the years, I learned that. I've always said to people that when you hire someone, when you pick someone, you don't pick someone to fail. As a leader, as an owner, as a businessman, when you hire employees, you don't hire employees thinking, ek bochhor bade bar kar do. You hire employees thinking that he'll take your business, your operations to the next level. And I believed in that you hired professionals to make them good. And I'm a firm believer in, as a leader, you take the fear of failure away from individuals. Because all of us in this room, in this hall, in this world, wants to succeed. When my father first took me to the ground to play, I wanted to play. I wanted to score runs for Bengal. I did not want to fail. But every individual has this fear of failure. What happens if I don't succeed? And I think as a leader, it is very important that you take that fear factor away. When Virendra Sehwag first came into Test cricket, I asked him to open. He said, open? I said, yeah, open, because you couldn't find a place. There was Dravid at 3, Tendulkar at 4, Ganguly at 5, and Lakshman at 6. And he was such an exceptional player. He was sitting in the dressing room. So I went up to him in England one day and I said, Viru, tu open karna. Tu 6 number pe, 7 number pe, tu match bhi nahi khel raha hai. He said, Dada, मैंने कभी दिल्ली के लिए ओपन भी नहीं किया. मिडिल ऑर्डर बैट्समैन हूँ. मैंने कहा देखी जाएगी यार. तो मैंने कहा देखी जाएगी मतलब. मैंने कहा अगर आउट हो गया तो फिर वापस आ जाएगा मिडिल ऑर्डर में. कहता आप तो मुझे ड्रॉप कर दोगे. मैंने कहा नहीं, आई वोंट ड्रॉप यू यार. आई एम गारंटिंग यू दैट यू ओपन. इफ इट डजंट वर्क यू विल बैट अगेन इन द मिडिल. ही सेड आप मुझे लिख के दो. मैंने कहा ये क्या कोई शादी हो रही है क्या, मैं तुझे लिख के दूंगा. व्हेन आई एम सेइंग इट विल हैपन. He opened, he got runs in the first game, he went on to get 100 in the next game, and he became a champion after that. So that's the way I operated. When I've pushed him to do something, when I've said that, you do something out of the box, out of your position, I'm expecting him to perform. I don't do it with the thing in mind कि यार drop हो गया तो निकाल देंगे. You don't get respect that way. You get respect by creating characters. You very rarely get respected by finishing careers. And I am a firm believer of that. People will remember you for years to come if you've made their careers in your own way and never the other way around.
You command respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. To me, management is manage men tactfully.
Absolutely.
Right. So now when you meet them, your co-players at that time, when you meet them now, how do you feel? What do you all exchange?
I see the same respect. I see the same respect. I see the same affection, same love. They fool around with me a lot. They even used to do that when I was captain, because they had confidence in me. He's one of us. It's not like a policeman. You're scared of him because he's got the power, he's got the authority to change things. They started to believe that Sourav Ganguly was one of them. I've seen that in Dhoni. I see that in Rohit Sharma also.
Great.
That, as a captain, to your players, you're one of them. And I think that gets you more respect than anything else, because then the players start playing for you. कि ये तो हमारा ही है, इसके लिए खेलेंगे. And I think that's very, very important in a team environment.
শালবনীতে যে স্টিল কারখানা করছো সেই নিয়ে কিছু বলবে? কারণ আমরা সবাই
it's on the way. It's obviously it's a Bengal Business Council.
Yes.
So when I met Mamta Didi and said that I want to do a steel plant, she said, "You and steel plant? What will you do with steel plant?" I said, "No, I want to do." She did not know that we had two already in Asansol and in Patna. So then I showed her all the pictures and everything. That's what we do for last 10-12 years. So we are starting one in Gorbeta in Mednipur. Fingers crossed. It'll take another 3-4 months, and hopefully we'll be able to do a good job.
Great. Apart from this, what are your future plans?
I don't know.
তুমি দেখো যা করেছো জীবনে সফলতার সাথে করেছো, ওকে, অ্যান্ড তোমার যেটা বললাম আগে, ইউ আর অ্যান এক্সাম্পল অফ সাকসেস, ওকে, সো ফিউচার প্ল্যানস কি?
My biggest dream at the moment is to win an IPL for Delhi. I want to win an IPL.
Great.
KKR won this time. We went to the finals in 2019, and I was a part of the team for the first time. But we lost to Mumbai in the finals. And then I became BCCI president after that. So I went away for 4 years, and then I came back again. This year we were good, but we can be better. So that is one of my dreams, because cricket is still the best thing in my life. Whatever I do, whatever money I make, wherever I go, whatever steel plants I do, but when I see that white and red ball and that cricket bat, nothing gives me more happiness.
এই যে বিসিসিআই প্রেসিডেন্ট বললে আমি একটা কোয়েশ্চেন না করে পারছি না, যে as a successful cricket player, what are the lessons that helped you as an administrator, BCCI president, CAB president?
The most important thing which helped me as a president of the board and president of CAB was my knowledge of the game. That is more important.
Right.
And with my experience of 8 years, I was 5 years president of CAB and 3 years president of the board. And I was representing BCCI in the ICC. I did not find anything different, anything which was not known to me, because I had done that as a player. And what are you administering? You're administering cricket, a sport. And I kept that in mind when I got the job. I know it's an administrative job. I know it's a job on the table, but the basic rules don't change. That it's a skill to govern the game which you have played. So I didn't find myself out of the place. Yes, there were documents, there was a lot more paperwork, there were a few more rules, but the basic idea and the basic essence was the development of the game, which obviously with my experience over 20 years, I knew what to do.
এই যে তোমার মধ্যে যখন তুমি কথা বলছো এতক্ষণ ধরে, একটা জিনিস আমরা সবাই লক্ষ্য করছি, সেলফ কনফিডেন্স। হাউ ডু ইউ মোটিভেট ইয়োরসেলফ? এই সেলফ কনফিডেন্সটা পাও কোত্থেকে?
I don't motivate myself. I just go and do it. I just go and do a job. I am nervous as somebody else also.
You make things happen.
Yeah, as you said, when Delhi was playing, I stand next to that perimeter board, biting my nails and looking the most nervous person in the world, because I also get nervous, and nervousness is good. Nervousness is because you care, and tension is because you care. You're not छोड़ो, होगा तो होगा, नहीं होगा तो नहीं होगा. Then you don't become nervous. You're nervous because you want it to happen. You want to win. So nervousness, pressure is good. When I used to pad up before batting, and Sachin and Rahul are batting and I'm padded up next, I used to be nervous like hell. But when I went in, I took the guard, it was a different person, because I knew that nervousness won't work here. I have to play. So that switch on and switch off had to happen. So every time I get an opportunity to do things, because I care, I feel tensed about it. But I control that tension by doing that extra bit of work. I firmly believe that you only get good by practicing. The more you practice, the better you become. There is no other solution to anything in life. You put time at the office, you will get results. You put time at training, you'll become a better player. It has never happened that training and effort and your professional time has made you worse. It has not happened with anybody. For me to succeed, it was simple. If you can't do it, if you're not being able to do it over and over again till you can do it. So there's nothing else in life.
Perseverance.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And when I was dropped in 2005, I used to run 20 laps of Eden Gardens. And sometimes I used to run out of anger. I used to forget. So I would make up my mind that I'll do 10 laps of the ground. But I was so angry because I was not playing. And not playing not for cricketing reasons. And I couldn't tell it to anybody. I used to just keep running till somebody would come and say, ki bas ho gaya, you stop. So these are things in life, your success, your decision, your way of going forward, it's in your hands. You will get guided by people, your friend, your father, your coach, but at the end of the day, your success is what you do with what you have. It's not anybody's.
Great. Lovely. আমি প্রশাসনে আছি এত বছর ধরে, একটা প্রশাসনিক প্রশ্ন তোমায় করতে চাই। আই অলসো ওয়ান্ট টু লার্ন ফ্রম ইউ অ্যাজ উই লার্ন ফ্রম এভরিবডি। অ্যান্ড আমরা এখানে যারা বেঙ্গল বিজনেস কাউন্সিলের মেম্বার্স, আমরা সবাই বাঙালি, বললাম যেটা আমাদের কমন ফ্যাক্টর। তো আমরা চাইবো যে বাংলা থেকে বাঙালি প্লেয়াররা বেশি খেলুক ক্রিকেটে এবং ফুটবলে। ওকে, তো বাঙালি প্লেয়াররা বেশি খেলছে না কেন, কি করলে খেলবে? আর অভিষেক পোরেল নিয়ে তুমি কি বলবে?
ফুটবলটা আমি জানি না বাপিদা, তুমি ভালো বলতে
যা
পারবে।
ক্রিকেটে তুমি করবে সেটাই আমরা
ভাই আছে এখানে,
আইএফএস সেক্রেটারি এখানে,
one of the nicest persons I've met and I feel so bad that I cannot help him because I've not been able to. I've tried because when I see him I just feel he's so honest. He wants the sport to do well, but I see that he's stuck in the hardships of what football is in our country.
Not yet commercialized.
Cricket is a different sport. We are fortunate. So আমি বাঙালি নন বেঙ্গলিতে খুব একটা I don't believe. But
বাংলা থেকে বাঙালি প্লেয়ার কেন উঠছে?
মুকেশ আছে, বাঙালি নয় ও, বাট ও বাংলা।
আমি বাঙালি প্লেয়ারদের কথা বলছি, জেলা থেকে বাঙালি প্লেয়ারদের কথা বলছি, কারণ আমরা এখানে সবাই বাঙালি ব্যবসায়ী।
হ্যাঁ, এই উত্তরটা আমার পক্ষে দেওয়া খুব ডিফিকাল্ট, কারণ বাঙালি জিন্সে কি আছে আমি তো অতটা জানি না। বাট না ওঠার কোনো কারণ নেই। When I see an Abhishek Podel, as you've asked, exceptionally talented, works hard, wants to do well. Hopefully with time he'll get that opportunity. Riddhiman Saha, probably after me, I played about 113 tests. The next most is Saha with 40 test matches. So he's a Bangali. So it's not that they haven't done well, but I'm sure in the years to come, I don't know what's the recipe, I don't know what is the ingredient, rather than training, practicing and believing. And hopefully you will see a name in the next 3-4 years who will play for the country.
Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Thank you.
It was a learning session for us.
Thank you.
This is Extra Time. Extra Time.